I'm at the Smith Rapids campground in the Chequamegon National Forest. Just came in past the covered bridge, and I'm going to camp here tonight. All the campsites are really heavily wooded, and I'm in my hammock. So I decided, since I'm the only single person in this whole campground, I'm going to camp under this picnic shelter. I'm about 100 miles from home. This is just a quick overnight. I left after lunch, about 2 o'clock. It's roughly 6 o'clock now. I'm going to have supper and string up my hammock, and I'll show you what I have in my bags. This is my KPM 200 Scrambler. I just got done cruising about 35-40 miles of gravel to get here, and I'm just doing it overnight. So I have a top bag, and then on top of that I have a stuff sack, and I'll show you what's in each of those. And obviously traveling pretty light for just a one day trip. First thing I want to show you is the top bag. This is a bag by a company called Rhino Walk, and it's a heavy plastic coated vinyl canvas type material. It's a 30-liter size. It's a roll top, and you can compress it with the straps on the side. That's got my tools and a few other things in it, but the main thing I wanted to show you is that this is the smallest, the smallest possible size. It's rolled down to the very top. I've even got it compressed so it's far from full. You could probably fit 50% more in there. And then I have a stuff sack that I put on top, and this is one of those compression sacks. And it's not that I have this really compressed that much, but I like to run the straps through these straps so that it can't shift at all. And this has got my sleeping bag, my tarp, and my clothes and pillow and things like that in there. So this is the top bag that I tie down on the rack of the KPM, and I'm get a few things out to show you what I keep in here. First thing that I got out, or the first thing that's on the top, is my raincoat, which I didn't use today, although I did just drive through some wet patches. Second thing I got out was my thermocell. We've had a tremendously wet summer, and we've got a bumper crop of mosquitoes. I've got a hand pump. This is my tarp for my hammock, which I'm not going to use tonight. This is a USB tire pump, which I hope I don't have to use. And I also have a can of tire inflator. Here's my hammock. I carry a lot of tools. First aid kit. This is a tire plug kit for my tubeless tires. And that's it. This is the bag that I have my food and cooking utensils in. Got a microfiber. This is a Reflectix package for my meal. I have a meal that I only need to add water to, so this keeps it hot while it's rehydrating. And I'll show you all the meal preparation things here in a second. But I've got a kind of a miscellaneous ditty bag that has my utensils. I've got a bottle full of denatured alcohol, because I use an alcohol stove, and fire starter, cigarette lighter and some toilet paper in there. And then this is my cook kit, and I'll show you that in a minute. That small red bag is the stuff sack that I keep my cook kit in. I've got a light titanium pot, and all I use this for is heating water. This is the lid, and tonight it's going to be the support for the burner so I don't burn the stove. I've got a wind guard, a little pot support that goes on top. This is my scrubby for washing dishes. I've got another lighter and some matches, some dish soap, and this is my stove. Tiny, tiny little propane or denatured alcohol stove. And I put an ounce of alcohol in there. It heats up the water for my meal and gives me enough hot water for cleaning up. And then I have a cup for coffee in the morning, and this larger container that everything stores in. Tonight I'm going to mix up some cold soak oatmeal, and that'll sit in that pot overnight with the lid closed, and in the morning I'll have oatmeal and a cup of coffee. So tonight for supper I'm having what I call walking tacos. Now you might have gone to a fair and had a walking taco. They put the tacos mixings in a bag of Fritos or Doritos. I'm doing just the opposite. I am putting the crushed Doritos into this freezer bag, and in that freezer bag I have taco seasoning, beans, and the white part here is freeze-dried chicken, so it's going to be a chicken taco, and some taco seasoning on top of that. So I'll just add water to that, put it in the foil cozy until it rehydrates for about 10 minutes, and my supper will be done. All I have to do is heat up water, and I have 1 ounce of alcohol in this little tiny burner. And that's it. The stove is going. It takes a few minutes for that to get hot. Then I put this little pot stand on it, and then that circular ring goes around it to block the wind. And couldn't be simpler. No pumping, no mess. And when I run out of alcohol as I'm traveling, every time I stop for gas, I can get a bottle of the yellow heat, H-E-E-T, which is methanol, and it works perfectly in this, so I can never run short. So it's been about 2 or 3 minutes, and the water is already starting to steam. When that gets nice and hot, I'm going to pour it in that bag, and I'm going to put that bag, freezer bag, into that foil pouch, and that's going to keep it hot until everything reconstitutes. And then when it's reconstituted, I'll add some Doritos to it, and my supper will be done. In the meantime, I'm going to make my breakfast. This is a half a cup of oatmeal, a big heaping tablespoon of chia seeds, some raisins, some walnuts, crushed walnuts, and then on top of that I'm going to add some maple syrup, and then I'm going to cover that with water, just a little bit more than covered, so that it can reconstitute overnight and get nice and creamy. In the morning I mix in a couple tablespoons of freeze-dried milk, freeze-dried whole milk, and just top that off with a little bit of water, and I have delicious oatmeal ready to go. And there's my supper, walking taco. I'm going to eat it in that freezer bag, and then that'll just be garbage. And just a shout out to Darwin on the Trail for advising to crush up the Doritos so that you have to eat them with a fork, eat them with a spoon. That way you don't gobble them all up right away. But that's a single serving bag, so I'm gonna feast tonight. Keep adding more and more until the stuffings or the taco seasoning, taco mix is all gone. So this is my Eno Skylight Bridge hammock. And these posts are about 15-16 feet apart, and that's about the minimum, but it'll work out fine tonight. You can't go much shorter because you want to end up with about a 30-degree angle on this suspension line, and the hammock is going to sag. Right now I have these spreader bars about waist high and the suspension right about eyeball high or even just a hair higher, but it's going to sag once I get in there. And this is the secret, is this bar at both ends, because all the weight is suspended by those it's like a tent pole basically, that's telescopic or sectional. So it's literally like a suspension bridge. The line comes down to here, and then there's a cut, and it goes up this side, instead of a regular hammock that has a like a banana shape that you have to stay inside. You can see it a little bit better here. You can see the seam and the stitching, so that forms kind of that suspension. Now I sleep with a foam pad. It's not cold at all tonight. If it was cold, you would use a insulated underquilt, but I use a foam pad in there, so that flattens it out, and then I just use a top quilt and a thin liner, because it's only going to be probably 55 or something like that tonight. But that's the Eno Skylight, and there's a more complete article on that on my website. Now normally, over top of that would be a tarp that would be staked out, but obviously I don't need the tarp tonight, so I don't have to worry about any wet tarp from rain or dew when I get up in the morning.